kidding? Just one shot?
They're not all zombies, Doug. How do you fight this thing?
Maybe we could drown it in A1 sauce.
Well, sometimes that is better. The person you put up there ain't the person that comes back.
It's a dance song to get down with. About 6 feet under. Get there.
Ooh, I love this song.
And now we come to the thrilling final episode of our radio drama.
Hello, and welcome to episode 253 of the Rotten Views podcast. Thank you, everyone, for showing up to another new episode. We have a fun one set up for you guys. Well, at least as I hope for every episode. I hope it's going to be a fun one because this is another blind watch from Tubi. I just want to say thank you if you're a returning listener to checking out the podcast. I appreciate if you have the episodes pre-downloaded so they download new every single week. It means a lot to me. I appreciate it. And if you're a new listener, thank you for stopping by. If you're searching up this movie and decide to click on my episode, I appreciate it. Thank you for sticking around. Hopefully you'll stick around to the end, and maybe you'll even hit that follow button, that subscribe button, or that share button, whatever one you want to do. Hopefully you come back each and every week, and hopefully you check out the catalog of other episodes that we have, because we have hours upon hours of free content. But before we do get into all that stuff, let's do a little bit of housekeeping like we like to do each and every single week.
Housekeeping?
I think you're sleeping.
Housekeeping?
You come back in an hour.
Housekeeping, you want towel?
More towels. Need sleepy.
Housekeeping, you want mint for pillow?
Please go away. Let me sleep for the love of God.
As always, if you guys are listening to this on Spotify, feel free to give it a star rating. It can be whatever rating you want, 5-star, 4-star, whatever. You want to give it that elusive 1-star, I get it. I'm just going to have to put a curse on you, because it's too goddamn hot outside right now not to. And I'm being honest about that, because I have the fan and everything turned down, just so the audio quality for this episode isn't affected by it. So I'm going to be sweating my ass off because we're in a heat wave here. But that's okay. Hopefully you'll give it a 5-star. If you're listening on Apple or whatever, feel free to leave a review. Whatever podcast platform you're listening on. If you can leave a review or a rating, feel free to do so. But that thing that you guys can do that's just one click away, feel free to hit that share button. Share it with your friends, your coworkers, whoever, whatever, whenever, all the time, whatever it might be. Just hit that share button. That share button does help out the podcast a lot. It gets it out to new listeners and viewers, and I appreciate that so much. As always, if you want to see more free content, check out all my social media links down below in the description. At Typhon, so you can find me on anything and everything. We're on Threads, we're on X, we're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. But the one thing you can check out for the most amount of fun for free, check out the YouTube channel. I have the weekly gaming video that drops every single Wednesday. Every single Monday, we drop an old episode of the podcast. I have very short videos over there as well for different art content. I do live streams as well. We've been doing a lot of live streams with Diablo 4 lately. Why? It's just something new to try out, because why not? It's a fun game, and it's got lots of blood, guts, and gore, and all other fun stuff. So go check all that fun stuff out for free. And the last thing I'm going to shill at you, throw out there for you guys to check out. You can check out the CWC Wrestling Promotion page on Instagram, or check out the Facebook group. I got a ton of new content dropping every single week over there. We got a bunch of merchandise as well. I haven't put out as many videos as I want to in the last couple weeks, just because my programs have been acting up a little bit, and to be honest with you, to try and fix all the bugs and stuff, it's just been way too hot, and I haven't really had the urge to do so. So that's why the video content on that side of things hasn't been as active as I personally want it to be, but hopefully maybe this weekend coming up I'll be able to get everything fixed and back up and running, and we'll have a smooth sailing ship yet again. But we'll see how that goes. So definitely go check that out, give it a follow, give it a like, give it a share, all that fun stuff, and let's get right into the episode at hand. Alright, so as I've mentioned, we are watching Without Warning from 1980 for the very first time. Blind watch. I've read the description, haven't watched the trailer. At least I don't think I watched the trailer. But this is free on Tubi, so definitely go check it out on Tubi if you want to check it out. Because like I do with every podcast episode, if you're a new listener, I talk about the movie from start to finish and hit all the points in between that interest me. So it's going to be spoiler heavy, but that's okay, because this movie is from 1980, so I don't want to hear any slack if you're complaining about me talking too much about the movie and describing it and whatnot. So, oh well. This movie has a 5.1 out of 10 on IMDb, 38% on Rotten Tomatoes, and 2.7 out of 5 on Letterboxd. 72% of Google users have enjoyed this film. Initial release date was September 26, 1980, and the budget was $150,000, apparently. The description, as read from IMDb: Sandy and Greg are teenagers who go camping. Despite warnings not to, with their friends, they soon encounter aliens who are using the area as a hunting ground. The director for this one is Graydon Clark. Graydon is also known for being the director for 1979's Angels Brigade, the director for 1984's Dark Future. These next two are kind of weird. I don't know, because I think they clash with each other. He was the director for 1976, Black Shampoo, as well. He was the director for 1989's Skinheads, which I don't know anything about that one, other than the context of it, and we're not going to be doing that one on the podcast at all, just so you guys are aware. This movie also has 3 writers credited towards it. The first one we're going to talk about is Lynn Freeman, who's just known for doing this movie, actually, to be honest with you, so I guess that one's a quick one. The next one we're going to jump to is Daniel Grondick. I probably butchered that last name, which I'm pretty good with doing that, so, you know, that's something you guys enjoy when coming to a Rotten Views podcast episode. But he was the producer for 2023's Fast Charlie, producer for 2006 Bobby, producer for 1995's Powder, as well as uncredited as a producer for 1989's National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Probably my all-time favorite Christmas movie, right up there with Ernest Saves Christmas. I think those two movies are great. Then, of course, you got Gremlins that also, but, you know, who's fighting over that one? Don't tell me it's not a Christmas movie. I swear to God, Gremlins is a Christmas movie. But we're not talking about that. It's too goddamn hot. It's summer right now. We're not talking about Christmas movies. The last writer that we're going to discuss for this movie is Bennett Tramer, which is a very interesting one. He was the writer for this, of course. But the other 2 credits that we're going to talk about, from 1989 to 1992, for 19 episodes, he was a writer on Saved by the Bell. And then from 1993 to 2000, for 143 episodes, he was a writer on Saved by the Bell, The New Class. He's also apparently the creator for that series as well, which I thought was pretty interesting. I love Saved by the Bell. Now, at this point in time, we're going to jump over to a couple of the actors. The main actor we're going to talk about, once my notes reopen, is Jack Palance, who's playing the character of Joe. My bad. Like, everything closed on me. This is editing on the go here. This is me trying to fix things on the go. But yeah, I know him best probably as Curly for 1991's City Slickers, as well he's Parrot in 1989's Tango and Cash. The other actor that we're going to talk about for this movie is Martin Landau. I don't know how to pronounce the last name. Obviously, we're good at that. He's playing the character Fred Sarge Dobbs. He's also Abe in 1988's Tucker, the Man and His Dream. He's Judah Rosenthal in 1989's Crimes and Misdemeanors. As well, he plays Bela Lugosi in 1994's Ed Wood. So now that we're done talking about the writer, the director, and the actors, or a couple of the actors, I know I could talk about other actors, but that's the 2 top billed ones, at least according to IMDb. The tagline for this movie is, "The Alien Terror is here on Earth." And apparently some trivia according to IMDb. The picture was made for $150,000, of which $75,000 went to Jack Palance and Martin Landau, I butchered the names, it's fine, as their salaries. And it was filmed in just 3 weeks. So I don't know what that means about the movie. I'm hoping it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be fun. Nonetheless, I am always, every episode that I do, I always look for a bright side of things. Even if the movie's horrible, I always try and look for at least a positive thing, because I know a lot of these people, they work on these projects because it's a passion of theirs, and a lot of time and effort goes into it. Even if it is only 3 weeks, that's still a lot of time and effort if you're, depending on how many hours a week you're doing. So I understand, and I try to look for the best things out of the movie, even if they are, horrible movies. But that's besides the point. So I think at this point in time, we're going to get started on the movie at hand. So, like I said earlier, I'm going to be talking about this movie from start to finish, and all the points in between, so it's going to be spoiler heavy. So if you don't want to be spoiled on a movie that came out in 1980, feel free to pause it now. You can go watch it for free on Tubi, or just sit back, relax, listen to me talk about the movie, and I'll either make you really want to go watch the movie, or you'll be happy with just skipping it. But I'm thinking, I got a gut feeling, you're probably going to want to watch the movie, but just listen to me talk about it anyways, and I'll just make you want to watch it even more, hopefully. Hopefully that's the end game, the end plan at least. So, like always, if you're at home, sit back, relax, get comfy, get some snacks, whatever it might be, listen to the podcast. If you're at work, hopefully this helps you get through the day. And as always, I know a bunch of you guys do listen in the car, because you guys tell me in the comments and in the messages. Just, keep your eyes on the road. Get to where you're going nice and safely. Enjoy sitting in the car if you got AC. Hopefully your AC doesn't break. If it does, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to jinx it or curse you. I didn't mean to. My bad. But hopefully it's a nice, fun vehicle ride. Car ride. I don't know why I said vehicle. I think the heat's getting to me, to be honest with you. And with that being said, I think we're going to start on the episode right now before I say anything else that's too stupid.
Presents Saturday Night at the Movies, the television series which each week brings you the finest in recent motion pictures. Tonight...
You think we're the only living creatures in this universe?
Anybody out there?
You think with all those stars out there, we're the only things that exist? Well, I got news for you. We ain't. I'm gonna get me some game today. One way or the other. I'm gonna shoot something.
Yeah, it looks like it's closed.
It's hunting season. Yeah, there's been more than one accident with strangers in these parts. Never been hunting, have you?
No.
And the sport is in the tracking and the hunting.
I don't think I could ever kill an animal.
It depends on the animal and who's doing the hunting.
He's bleeding through the windshield.
No, I need help. My friends are dead.
You seen them little critters?
Yeah, they attacked our van.
Feisty little things, ain't they?
You pay this guy to come in here and spread your crazy story.
Look, I warn it. When they start eating, you don't come to me for help. We ain't alone.
Follow us no matter where we go. Right now, the only choice we have is where we're going to fight. And if we stand here talking, we're going to lose that choice, too. Now, you and me, we are the prize game.
Suppose there's a whole bunch of aliens, like you say, monsters. Suppose it's all true, like you say. Then why in the hell ain't the CIA, the FBI, and your own army done something about it?
Because they never do nothing about nothing. No escape.
So we got the movie starting out with the basic black background, basic yellow font with the intro credits rolling. And we got that typical 80s suspense kind of horror music playing. It's slow, nothing super upbeat about it, but it's setting the mood and the tempo for the movie. It's an alien movie, so nothing really needs to be up bass in your face just yet. But then we cut to... without warning, the font comes on the screen and it looks like it's got a green outline around it, but it's also, for whatever reason, not in the center of the screen at all. It's kind of lower. It's like in the same section of all the intro fonts of the names. Well, whatever, it's fine. We just see something walking through this wooded area. There's a lot of rocks, there's some overgrown grass and whatnot. It's a field of some sort. So then we see a guy coming out of the woods. He's in full army camo gear. He's hunting, and of course, he's going to wake up his son Randy, who's sleeping in the Winnebago on the side of the road. He's like, come on, you're missing the best thing God's ever done. This fresh air, this nice sunrise morning, you're missing everything. And Randy's like, you know what, Dad, I think I'm just gonna, catch some more Z's in here to sleep. He's like, no, the hell you're not. Get the hell out. And then next thing you know, we see Randy's all dressed up, and he's, in the little stream drinking some water. He's like, it's kind of tastes weird, Dad. I don't know. There might be something in the water. He's like, nah, it's nothing in the water. There's something wrong with you. It's just fresh air. And Randy's like, there's a lot of industrial waste around now at this point in time. You don't know if there's a nuclear plant somewhere up the road that's, putting all their waste in the water. That's probably why the water smells weird, Dad. Then we see taking his son out in the woods, be like, see, boy, there's no feeling in the world that beats this feeling. I don't know why he's dragging his son in the woods, because Randy is not young. Randy's got a goddamn porno mustache on, and he clearly has no desire to be out in the woods hunting. And that's when his dad pulls up the shotgun and shoots it behind him to shoot at an animal that's in front of Randy. And Randy gets all scared. He's like, what the hell are you shooting at right behind me, Dad? Because Randy lives by a different lifestyle. He doesn't feel like you need to go out and hunt for your food to be a man. And then it's like, so what were you talking about there, son? I wasn't really listening. I was trying to go hunt some game. He's like, no, don't worry about it, Dad. You wouldn't understand anyways. So it goes off on its own, and Randy just sits at the stream, staring at the ground. For whatever reason, he goes off in the woods a little bit, and then he comes back. And for whatever reason, when he comes back, he's aiming the gun at his son yet again. But then he puts the gun down, and he's like, I can't do that. And then he hears this weird sound. This little saucer thing is coming through the woods, and launches onto his neck, and then fangs or claws start going into his neck, and then one attacks him on the chest, and we see him being attacked by this alien creature now. So then starts to stumbling towards his son Randy, and Randy freaks out. He's like, what the hell is going on, Dad? So then he points the gun at his dad, and he doesn't shoot, of course, but then we see one of the saucer aliens coming at him, and next thing you know, we see he's dead as well. And then we cut to a bunch of people getting ready to go camping, I guess. So these girls are meeting up with these two guys. One's named Tom and one's named Greg. Greg's played by Christopher S. Nelson. But Tom is played by none other than David Caruso. I hope I pronounced his last name right. But he's best known for being in CSI New York as well as CSI Miami, playing Lieutenant Horatio H. Kane. And all of them are loading into this really bright-ass yellow old-school van. And it's kind of cool-looking van. If my personal preference, I'd wrap in the Scooby-Doo Mystery Inc. Scheme. But that's just my personal preference. If I had a van, that's what I would do. So they stop at this little spot to get gas. And, of course, they're honking the horn. And it seems like the spot's closed. And then the girl's like, we got to go back and use the washrooms. And then we see this animal hanging from a tree. And Greg's like, it's just a bobcat, somebody shot it. It's dead now, so you guys don't have to worry about it. So, washrooms are back that way. So the girls go back to where the washrooms are. And, of course, the washrooms are locked as well. So they finally do get into the men's washroom, and that's when they're met with Sarge. And we see on the wall, it says, no escape, no freedom, or something else. And one of the girls is like, what's that mean? He's like, it means nothing. What are you doing in the men's washroom? Of course, Tom's all annoyed because he's like, my van, it needs some gas. And then he's looking at the pumps. He's like, hey, these old gas pumps actually don't lock up, so I can just take the gas if I want to. So what if there's no one here to pay them? It's their own fault. Then the girls come out of the men's washroom. It's like, you guys write some really weird stuff on the wall. It said, no chance, no help, no escape. Why do you guys write such weird stuff on the bathroom walls? Of course, Tom wants to leave without paying gas. And Greg's like, come on, it's not a big oil company here. We're going to pay. And then one of the girls like, we're definitely going to pay. I'm not leaving without paying. So she pushes the door open, and we see cobwebs over everything. And then Tom's looking around being like, hey, look, found some baby rats in this hat that's been upside down. I'm pretty sure probably nobody's had this gas station open in a long goddamn while. And he walks out the back here. He's like, what the hell are you guys doing in there? He's like, well, we just got some gas and wanted to pay for it, actually. And the girl's like, we're just, head down to the lake. And Joe's like, I'd stay away from there. It's hunting season. There's been more than one accident down there lately. So, you guys should be safe and, probably not head down by the lake. Also, in Joe's little gas station, he's got a bunch of trophies, the heads of animals hanging up on the wall. And the girl's like, why do you hunt? Why did you kill all these animals? He's like, you've never been hunting before, have you? She's like, well, no, I haven't, and I don't plan on it. He's like, well, sometimes you gotta hunt, especially if the animal's coming at you to try and kill you and you're living in the woods. So, it's either me or them. So then the group of them get ready to leave, and they're like, "Yeah, we got stuff to do. We got days going away." So then they go to leave, and he slams the door in front of them, being like, "I'm just going to tell you kids one more time: don't go down to the lake. Understood? Do not go down to the lake." And of course, we cut back down to where the lake is, and we see a group of like Boy Scouts, I guess. I don't know the technical term because I never did it at all. Never cared for it at all. And the sergeant's like, "All right, guys, we're going to camp here for a while. We're going to check for ammo. We're going to check for food. All right, guys, we're going to secure the area." And the guy just like, "This is the tribe of the Guapo. They're a very ancient tribe. They take care of the woods. And we are going to respect their boundaries and not wreck the area. All right, you little brats?" And then he's like, us being a scout, we can tell we're never going to get lost because we have our compass. So then he pulls out the compass, and the compass is just going crazy. And he's going to be like, "We are not lost. This stream goes somewhere, and we're going to figure out where it goes. All right, kids? I don't know what's wrong with the compass, though. It's going crazy." And then the leader's like, "All right, boys, men, I should say, without leaving this pathway, go get a rock, a stick, or something like that. That way you can bring a momentum back to your parents. Please no rattlesnakes, though, because they bring germs, and we don't want germs." So looking at the castle list, the Scoutmaster is literally just labeled as Scoutmaster. So I'm assuming he's not going to last too long because he's up at the Hunters Winnebago and Randy's Winnebago. He's banging on the door, being like, "Hey, I got a bunch of scouts out here. Just wondering if anyone's home. I actually could use some help because I really don't have any idea where I am and my feet hurt a lot. So if anybody could answer the door, that'd be appreciated." And then he looks back at the woods, and we hear like this hovering sound, as of course it's the aliens again. So then he starts walking towards it and be like, "Hello? Anybody out there? Just curious, hello?" So then he keeps walking to where he thinks he hears the sound. And that's when he sees a gun down on the ground. He's looking around a little bit confused. We also see the stream, and I don't know if it's just how the shot is, but the water at this point in time in the stream looked like it was green almost, but maybe I'm wrong. But then he doesn't even care about the gun being on the ground or anything. So then he takes his pack of smokes out and be like, "I need to light my cigarette." He's like, "I don't actually have a match on me anywhere." So then he gets down on the rock bed with his cigarette and starts smashing it with a rock to try and start a spark to light the cigarette. And at this point, one of the aliens jumps on his back and starts like embedding itself into his back. He starts freaking out. Doesn't scream at all, but he just like drops dead instantly. And all the little Boy Scouts are just tossing rocks all over the place, having fun. Don't even really care that their Scoutmaster's gone. Then one of the little boys goes over to like this bush to break off a branch maybe, and we see this shadow popping up, and he just looks up, and then like 10 seconds later he starts to scream and run away, and then all the kids start to run away, and it's like the same scream overlaid over the whole scene as they're running away. And at the top of this hill, just behind the creek where the kids were just running away from, we see the yellow van just slowly showing up with the girls and Tom and Greg. Then we see them driving in the van, and of course Greg's, it looks like he's laying on like the bunk. It looks like it's an upper bunk because it looks like you can also see the ceiling, and his girl is with him, and they're just bashing their head off the wall because it's such a bumpy ride. There's no seatbelt, there's no real mattress, nothing, no protection. It's just them constantly hitting their head off the side of the van as they're getting closer and closer to this lake. And they'll get to the lake, and then Sandy, the one girl, she's like, so that guy at the gas station, you don't think he's right about the hunters and stuff? Like, nah, everything's fine. Don't worry about Sandy. We're just gonna have some fun. And then Tom's character's like, last one in the lake is getting stuffed and mounted, if you know what I mean. And then we see Greg and Sandy leaving the lake because they look over and we see Tom and his girl making out and getting on in the water. He's like, we're gonna go for a walk, actually. And then for whatever reason, we see them walking through the woods, and Greg is carrying a radio. He's like, as a kid, I could fix this thing instantly. But of course, now as a young adult, all I can pick up is the radio stack, and I don't understand why. Maybe if I just smack it on the side a couple times, maybe that'll fix it. And he's like playing around with the buttons on. He's like, this thing was working so great yesterday. So weird how it's not working now. And now we find out, the alien life forms have something to do with electricity and the gravitational pull, I guess, maybe, because the compass was acting up, and now the radio's acting up. So different devices are acting up because of the aliens being around. And then Greg and Sandy get back to the lake, and they're calling for Tom and the other girl, and they're like, I wonder where they went. And Greg's like, well, if I know Tom, they're probably in the back of the van, making it rock a little bit. And they get closer and closer to the van, but nobody's answering them. They get to the van, they check out the van, of course, Tom and the girl's not there. So they're like, you know what, we're kind of hungry, at least there's food in the van. So we're going to, have a little picnic here. And then we cut to apparently an hour later. They're done their picnic. It's like, where could Tom and the girl be? We don't want to stay here all night. What's going on? Where are they? Anyways, Greg and Sandy then take this pathway. They're hoping that they're going to find Tom and the other girl on the pathway somewhere. And they keep following this pathway. No sign of them whatsoever at all. And of course, Sandy is walking in front of Greg, and she steps on this one spot and falls right through the ground. And it's like a square box dug out of the ground, so it's essentially like a trap set up. There's no spikes or anything in the bottom of it at all, and it's not super deep because Greg can just put his hand down and pull Sandy out of it like no big deal. And they get out of the hole, and then Sandy's just looking around and be like, I wonder what that little shed is over there. They walk closer and closer to the shed, wondering what's inside the shed. They open up the door and get inside the shed, and that's when we then see the dead bodies of a few people, and we do run into Tom, who's hanging on the wall, and he's dead, and the other girl's dead. We also see the Boy Scout, and I also believe Randy is one of the bodies. We hear a bunch of insects inside. We see like this green yellowish slime like pouring out of their eye sockets, and then Greg and Sandy just start running out of the shed and running for their lives, unaware of where they're even running to. They apparently were so far in the woods that by the time they run back to the van, it's now nighttime. Greg jumps into the van. He's like, where's the keys? And of course, the keys are probably on Tom's body. Then as they're sitting in the van trying to find where the keys are, one of the alien creatures sucks onto the windshield, and you see it's like this, I don't even know how, it's an alien creature of some sort, and it's got a bunch of teeth in the middle of its body, and it's trying to eat through the glass. And then they're like, what's that sound? And Sandy's like, oh no, the alien is trying to open the side door. They finally find the keys up on the sun visor, but of course the van is not starting, because why would it? They keep trying it, and then the van finally does start after a good 2 minutes of trying to turn the damn thing on, and then we just see them speeding away. We see them driving, and for some reason they keep on driving with this damn alien on the windshield. And then out of nowhere, Sandy's like, why don't you try the windshield wipers? So Greg tries the windshield wipers, and the alien gets tossed off, and they're laughing, being like, ha, wish I would have thought about that sooner. So they pull up to this old county bar or country bar, and Greg's like, you just stay in the van, lock the doors, you're going to be safe here. I'm going to try and go in and get some help. So he walks through the door, and the bartender's like, hey, son, just sit down wherever you want. And he's like, So my friends are dead, and I don't know what to do, to be honest with you. Can you call the police? One of the guys sitting at the bar is like, all right, son, you gotta explain a little bit this stuff to us first before we just go call the sheriff. And the bartender's like, yeah, just tell us what happened. Just let us know a little bit of what's going on so we know what we're dealing with. And of course, then we cut back to Sandy outside sitting in the van, and then we see this giant silhouette of an alien coming beside the van. She freaks out. Instead of running to the diner, she runs into the woods. And of course, out of nowhere, she runs into Joe, and Joe just looks around all confused. And then we cut back into the bar, where Greg's like, there's some flying saucer looking thing. I don't know what to tell you guys. And then the bar, they call over Sarge, who apparently was playing pool. And one of the guys at the bar is like, hey, Sarge, is this guy one of your friends? Because apparently he's been seeing one of your flying saucers around. And Sarge's like, oh, you've been seeing those little critters? You've been seeing them flying around, huh? And Greg's like, yeah, they attacked our van and our friends, actually. So then the barfly's like, hey, Sarge, did you pay this guy to come in here and start spreading your stupid story? He's like, hey, when those aliens start feeding on you, boy, you're going to be dead. You understand that? And the bartender's like, hey, Sarge, come on, let's keep it mellow, all right? Let's calm it down a little bit. So, of course, then Greg's like, all right, guys, if you don't believe me, let's go talk to my girl that's out in the van. And Sarge's like, you got a girl in the van, huh? Let's go get her. So then they go out to get Sandy. And, of course, Sandy is nowhere to be found, because obviously she ran off in the woods. So then Sarge's like, they must have got your lady. We'll go check in the morning, though. We can't go out at night. You understand me, soldier? Because these aliens have the advantage at night. They'll stalk us, and they'll get right into our stomachs, and we'll be dead. You understand us? We are not hunting these things at night. So then the bartender's like, don't worry about Sarge. He's never hurt anyone. He just gets a little off in his own head. Let's go inside. Let's go relax. And we'll call the police and get everything organized, and we'll figure everything out, all right? So then the bartender gets off the phone. He's like, well, the sheriff's going to be here a little bit later. Apparently, he's hunting down a group of Boy Scouts that went missing earlier, and they're somewhere out there in the woods at nighttime. So well, we gotta get them all home nice and safely. So like I'm assuming we're not going to see those Boy Scouts again, but it's nice that they actually try to tie it in and cut up any loose ends. And then out of nowhere we see Joe walking in. He's carrying Sandy, of course, and everyone in the bar just looks over at him all confused. He's like, I believe this belongs to you. I found her in the woods running away like a scared rabbit. You might want to take care of her. So Sandy explains that she saw the alien and whatnot, and Sarge looks over at everyone at the bar being like, you don't understand, you guys never been in combat, you don't understand anything that she's saying, I get it. And then Sandy says, it's just like seeing them in the shack. And then Joe's like, you saw a shack? He's like, yeah, we saw a shack where they're keeping the bodies, they're keeping the bodies on hooks inside the shack. And then out of nowhere, the power in the bar goes out, and the bartender's like, don't worry guys, I'll get all the lanterns lit, we'll get the generator on, don't worry, everything's gonna be fine, it'll be back on in no time. And then, of course, they're in the dark, and Sarge starts freaking out, being like, damn, aliens are going to have the advantage. They're going to attack us in the dark. I know it. They're going to attack us in the dark. And then the bartender whispers over to Joe, being like, hey, I might need a little help with Fred later. Sarge, because Fred's his real name. And Fred's like, what'd you say about me? What'd you say? And the bartender's like, I said I might need help with the meat in the freezer and the fridge and stuff. Might go bad if the power doesn't get back on here soon. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Then as they're all sitting in the bar together with the power out, Sandy has like this shake and cold chill, and Greg's like, what's going on? She's like, I don't know, I just got cold chill, I don't know, if I feel like something's going on. And then the door creaks open, we see the silhouette of the sheriff, and of course then Sarge shoots the sheriff, and everyone goes to check on the sheriff, being like, oh well, he's still alive, he's not fully dead yet, he's got a faint heartbeat, but he's still alive. And Sarge's like, I don't know what happened, just something came over me, I had to shoot, I don't know what to tell you guys. So then Sarge starts confronting Greg, being like, the power was on before you came in here. Now the power's off. Maybe you're one of them. Because Sarge now thinks that the aliens can take over human forms and act like they're human. And then Joe's trying to get the gun from Sarge, but Sarge won't give up the gun. So then Joe has to go slap him around a little bit. So then we see Joe telling Greg and Sandy, the bar, just because he doesn't want the Sarge around them. And they leave the bar, of course, no worries. And then Joe falls behind them. He sees one of those alien creatures stuck on the side of the building. So then he just pulls out his hunting knife and just starts like stabbing it and cutting it open, being like, alright, you guys are gonna follow me. And Greg's like, I don't know about that. He's like, don't argue with me. Let's just go, alright? And the reason why Joe is taking Greg and Sandy with him, because he wants to see the location of the shack. And he's not doing anything else until he sees the shack, because he wants to see the bodies hanging inside the shack. So then we see the medical team showing up to pick up the sheriff from the bar. And the paramedic's like, you better hope that he doesn't die, Sarge, or you're going to be in a lot of trouble. And that sets like Sarge PTSD. He thinks he's back in the military now. He's doing a salute and everything. And then we come back to Joe with the kids, and he stops at his house or the gas station and tells them to stay in the truck. And he goes inside. He has this container with liquid inside of it. And he takes one of the little aliens and puts it inside the container like a test subject. So then we're back in the truck, and Joe's driving to the general area where the shack is, and he rolls up his sleeve and he's like, see this scar here? See this big weird spot? One of those alien creatures almost got me. And Sandy's like, why didn't you tell anyone then? He's like, I didn't want people cutting me open to take a look inside me and see what's going on. I didn't want to bring any more crap around here. So they pull the truck up to the general area where the shed is, and Joe gets out of the truck, and we see both the kids are staying in the truck. He just pokes his head back in the truck and be like, are you guys staying here? I don't think so. You're going to come with me. So they get in like eye shot of the little shed, and Greg's like, you better be careful, there was a hole over there somewhere that Sandy fell through. And Joe's like, Sarge has been digging them all over the place. He's been trying to hopefully catch them if they fall in the hole. Joe gets to the shed, opens up the door, or walks in the door. I think the door was already open from beforehand. And he's looking around at all the dead bodies from the previous people. And they're all still in the exact same spot on these hooks. And we hear this, it almost sounds like insects, but it almost sounds like bats, like making their squawking sound at the same time. And he's looking around, with his flashlight. And then he just stumbles out of the back of the shed and turns and looks at the kids. Then he proceeds to just slowly walk towards them. And the two kids are just staring at me like, you good? And he's like, it's just like you said. Like, yeah, we know. He's like, you guys do not understand what you guys found. This is where the hunter keeps his food. We got him right where we want him. At some point in time, the hunter's going to have to come back and get his food. And that's when we'll get the high point and they vanish. And Sandy's like, we're not staying here until the hunter comes back. And then out of nowhere, one of the alien creatures just comes right up behind Joe and starts to stab him in the back. Alright, so I was wrong. It's not the back. It's actually getting him right in the kneecap, which probably is a lot worse than the back because that seems like it's very, very painful. He tells Greg and Sandy to run off and just leave him in the woods, and they have no problem doing so because, well, that's what they do. So Joe crawls off into the woods a little bit, and then he pulls out his hunting knife. It slowly starts to cut out this alien that's on his knee, and it makes this like really cartoony popping sound, and then he starts like prying at it with the knife, and it's making like this very cartoony like sound of like clothing ripping, and then once he finally gets it off, it lets off a little screech. But now he's got another little alien guy that he can put in a jar back at home. This one apparently pissed him off a little bit more than the last one because he throws it down on the ground and starts stomping on it, and then cleans off the blood off his knife because you can't have a dirty knife. So Greg and Sandy run through the woods, and they finally get to the road, and they're trying to wave down traffic to stop, but nothing stops. And then this other car starts to come up, so they flag it down, and then the lights come on, and it's a police car. So they jump into the back of the police car, and they're like, "Oh, thank God that you're a police officer. We found a shed in the woods with dead bodies, and there's our buddy Joe Taylor got attacked by one of the alien creatures. We could take it to the area if you want." And then they're like, "Well, why are you going in the wrong direction though?" And of course, it's Sarge driving the police car now. I'm assuming he's still the sheriff's police car, or maybe he has his own police car. I don't know. We see Joe. He's got back to his gas station, and it looks like he's getting enough gear to blow the damn shit up. And then we cut back into the police car where Greg's trying to convince Sarge to go back to where Joe was last seen. He's like, "You think I'm going to go back there and try to deal with that? No, I'm a police sergeant. I'm going to do my business the way I know best." At this point, Sarge has completely flew the coop and has gone mental. And then Sarge, being the crazy person that he is, he's like, "So what'd you guys do? Did you kill the kids and take over their bodies?" And Sandy's like, What? You think we're the aliens? We're not the aliens. We're still the same people." So then the Sarge randomly takes them to a random spot in the woods. He tells them to get out of the car. He's like, "I'm sure you creatures feel pain as well. I'm going to point this gun at you, and you're going to talk. Do you understand me? I've seen real experts do this kind of work. So you guys are going to talk now." So then Greg starts talking out his ass, being like, all right, I'll talk. Where do you want me to start? And Sarge's like, "Well, I want you to start from the beginning, of course." So then Greg starts drawing on the ground in the dirt, being like, "So the world's broken up into 7 regions, and we believe that the American side is probably going to be the force that gives us the most resistance." So then Greg tries to tackle Sarge. He actually does tackle him to the ground, but he doesn't take the gun away from him. And then they start running into the woods, and then Sarge is just shooting from his knees, just trying to shoot the kids as they're running away into the woods. So then the kids are running through the woods, and they get back up on this road, and they're like, "I don't know which way to go." So they start walking down the road a bit, and then of course we see police lights coming at them, and of course this is Sarge trying to chase them down. He's not fully like speeding at them to run them over, but they get on top of this bridge, and then we see this really bad like slow motion shot of Greg and Sandy jumping off the top of the bridge and into the water down below, and then Sarge just stops and starts shooting down at them, being like, "I'll get you kids, trust me, I'll get you." So then Greg has to help Sandy get out of the water because somehow she sprained her ankle jumping into the water. I don't know, I don't jump in the water. I don't swim, so I don't do this sort of thing. So maybe it's a common thing to sprain your ankle when jumping off a bridge into a lake. I don't know. Anyways, they keep stumbling up this pathway, and then we come across this old abandoned looking house. At least to me, it looks abandoned because then Sandy's like, "Do you think anybody's home?" And Greg's like, "I don't know, but we're going to find out." Greg's knocking on doors, seeing if anyone's answering. Nobody answers, of course. And Sandy's like, "Oh, it does look like somebody lives here." He's like, "Well, we're not waiting for an invitation." So he breaks the glass on the door and lets himself inside, turns on the light, and the light flickers a bit. And then they get spooked by a black cat that just goes running outside. And Sandy's like, "Oh, we can use our phone." And Greg's like, "Well, yeah, I guess we can if they have one. I know this kind of looks like a vacation home." It's like, you just saw a cat run out. I guess it could be a random stray cat living in the house, but most likely it's probably the pet, and you should probably get back in the house. So then they go to raid the person's closet because the phone doesn't work, and like, "Oh, well, we might as well raid the closet, that way we have some dry clothes." And as they're getting changed, we know that something's outside the house watching, slowly stalking them. So we see Sandy up in the bed resting in this house, and we see Greg down in the kitchen. He's getting ready to make a bunch of coffee, and we see a shadow behind him where a hand's reaching out for him, and then Sandy starts yelling for Greg, so he runs upstairs, and she was just having like a quick bad dream apparently. Then as Greg is trying to comfort Sandy, we hear a noise, and then they look over and they're like, oh, the other door's open. It's like, oh, maybe it was the cat actually. Greg's like, all right, Sandy, I'm going to go check it, and you stay here. She's like, no, you're not making me stay here. He's like, all right, fine, then you lead. She's like, no, actually, you can lead. I'm still following, though. So then they do a look over the house again, because a couple things are freaking them out, because the door was open. They go back to the kitchen, and Greg could have swore they turned the water off, but the water was still running the thing. Then they go back to the bedroom, but the closet light was on. He's like, I could have swore I turned that off. He checks it. Of course, he turns it off, because nothing's inside the closet. And then we see Greg sitting in his chair, or the chair in the living room, drinking some coffee, and then we hear a wolf howling, and it wakes up Sandy. So she goes to check on Greg because she thinks Greg's asleep in the chair. When she gets over to Greg, we see Greg has one of the alien creatures stuck on the side of his face. And then she looks over at the corner of the living room, and that's when we finally see the human-sized version of this alien creature just reaching out for Sandy. And she starts screaming and goes to run away as the living room light just keeps swaying back and forth. We see Sandy running out of the house, and then she hides in like the bottom half of the house. It looks like it's all storage in like a basement looking area. And she's can see out a window, and we see the alien walk by it. Obviously it doesn't see her at all, but it sounds like it's got like this sonar kind of thing going on. Next thing we know, it's reaching through the glass to try and grab her, and she runs to a different spot in the basement area, and then it's like trying to break down a door, and we see its finger poking through, but then out of nowhere we hear a gun going off. And of course, it's Joe showing up to save the day with his gun. He's blasting out the alien, but the alien's still coming at him, trying to break down that door. But Joe's got enough time to get Sandy out of the basement. So Joe's like, we gotta go back to the shack because that thing's gonna hunt us down to the shack. She's like, well, I'm not gonna go to the shack. He's like, well, fine, you can stay here and then you can just let it get you there. And then Joe's telling Sandy, he's like, this isn't like a normal hunter. Like, this alien is hunting just for the fun of it. It's not hunting because it needs to feed. That's why there's so many people inside the shack. But I have the advantage. You want to know why, Sandy? Because I'm hunting it, and it doesn't know it. So then the two of them get to a wooded area outside the shack area, and we see that Joe has the whole thing set up with dynamite. He's like, I'm going to blow the whole damn thing, and the alien's not going to know what hit it. And then out of nowhere, we just see Sarge standing behind them, holding a gun, because of course he thinks they're the alien. So then Sarge's like, I've lost a lot of friends in this jungle. And Joe's like, this isn't the jungle, Sarge. It's just the woods. And you're not losing anybody unless you shoot me right now. So don't shoot me, understand? And then we see Joe and Sarge fighting over the pistol. We see Sarge do like a cheap shot at Joe and drops Joe to the ground, and Sandy's got a stick to try and knock Sarge out, but then she looks over and we see the alien standing at the shed, and then Sarge sees it and he's like, I knew it. I knew the damn aliens were around here. And then Sarge slowly starts walking towards the shed where the alien is, and he's like, are you a leader or are you just one of the soldiers? I knew I'd get you. I knew I'd get one of you damn suckers. So then we see Joe make his way over to the detonator for the dynamite, and Sandy's like, you're gonna kill both of them if you set it off. He's like, well, if I have to, yeah, I will kill both of them. And then Sarge just making his way closer and closer to the alien. It just throws two of his little suction cup guys at him, and it hits Sarge both right in the chest, and he just drops to his knees as, this yellow mucus slowly starts to come out of his body. So Sandy and Joe are worried that the alien's not close enough to the shack. So then Joe grabs his hunting rifle, shoots the alien, and the alien starts leaking out fluid, but he just puts his hand over the hole and patches himself up. So then the alien hits Joe with two of these little suction cup guys. Joe cuts the one off of his chest and gets it free, but he can't get the one off his back. So then he looks over at Sandy. He's like, once I get the alien close enough to that shed, you blow the damn thing up, you understand me? So then Joe just runs at the alien and starts screaming alien. And then he runs right by the alien and walks into the shed. And he's yelling at Sandy now. He's like, come on, you gotta push the plunger on the dynamite to make it go boom. We see there's a piece missing that should be attached to the plunger. So she fixes it. And Joe lunges down at the alien's legs. And she sets off the dynamite. And we see the whole shed and the alien go up in flames and pieces. Then we cut to Sandy crying because she just set off the dynamite, and then we see a still image of the stars up in the sky, and someone saying, "You think we're the only thing that live out there in the universe? Well, news to ya, we're not the only thing out there." And then the movie ends, and the outro credits start to roll, and that's the end of the movie. Not a bad movie. It's interesting. I will say that for sure. I like the little alien suction cup things. It reminds me of like the Jeepers Creepers throwing stars. It's like a design I've seen before. It's like this little face huggers almost, but they got like all the fangs in the middle. It's a typical monster design. Pretty cool. I liked it. I like that it's essentially is like throwing stars to attack people with. I wish we saw more of the alien a little bit. But you see him for maybe like 5 minutes for the whole movie. And, well, maybe 10 minutes. Let's round it up. Let's say we see him for 10 minutes. I wish we saw him a little bit more. He's not super detailed, but he's a typical gray alien. Minus the big eyes. He's a little bit more evil looking. I thought it looked pretty cool. He's hidden in the shadows for the most part, which makes sense. So, on the Rotten scale out of 10, I would give this one a 5.5. I think it's a fun movie, and I would suggest watching it. I'm glad I watched this one. Thank you for the suggestion. I believe it was Fletcher. I could be wrong on that one, but thank you for the suggestion for this movie. It was a fun one. And it's free on Tubi, so you can't go wrong. Which brings us to the point in time where we've got to pick what we're watching next week. Alright, so for next week, we're going to switch it up a little bit. For genre, we're going to watch an action comedy movie, but surprisingly enough, it's still on Tubi. So for next week, we're going to watch a movie from 1984. It's called Roadhouse 66. The description for this movie, as read from Tubi: car trouble hooks up a well-to-do preppy with a loner running from his past on a rough-riding road trip to take on thugs terrorizing a local bar. I've already watched this one once. I enjoyed the movie, so I just want to review it on the podcast, and I just wanted a reason to watch it again, because it's been probably like a year since I did watch it last, so hopefully you guys will check it out. It's a fun one. I enjoyed it a lot, so hopefully on this second watch, I'll enjoy it just as much, and hopefully you guys will enjoy it as well. And as always, make sure to check out the Toronto-based horror band that does the outro music for almost every single episode. I think there might be like 1 or 2 episodes where I did Slasher Dave as the outro band, but for the most part, it's Toronto-based horror band, Blood Opera. All their links are down below in the description. Find them on Spotify, Amazon Music, or wherever you listen to your music. Give them a follow, share, all that fun stuff. Leave a comment, let them know what song you like the most of them, or their merchandise, whatever it might be. Just, say hi to them. They're a great group of people. And as always, if you want to check out some more free content and hours upon hours of free content, follow all my social media accounts at Typhonsign. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, TikTok, X, whatever it might be. But the main thing that you can check out with the most free content is the YouTube channel, where we have the weekly gaming video every single Wednesday, old episodes of the podcast every single Monday, various shorts over there as well, community posts, and I do a bunch of live streams, so definitely go check that out. Be a part of the community. Say hi. That's all you need to do. Just talk.
Let's talk about whatever you want to talk about. You want to talk about Pokemon? You want to talk about wrestling? You want to talk about horror movies? Whatever it is. You want to play some video games? Let me know. I'm always open to new things. So definitely check out the YouTube channel. Tons of fun content. And last but not least, check out the CWC wrestling page over on Instagram. Links are down below, as well as the Facebook group. Say hi if you're a fan of wrestling. We'd love to have you over there. Until next time, I'll talk to you guys all later. Peace.